Good morning, everybody. Joe Chacho here. Happy Friday to everybody. Today's going to be what I call like a plain old common sense call we're going to do today. To me, I call it common sense because I've been doing this for a long period of time. I'm doing this for a lot of the newer agents that are working for us who are, in my mind, what they're doing, they're putting the cart before the horse. So I'm going to tell you guys a couple things. Then I'm going to give you some scenarios that have happened to me just this week to where you don't put yourself in this situation, because what you're doing is that you're getting excited because somebody's giving you some type of buying signal. So when it comes to placing business and keeping business, you got to know how to accept the business to where it's going to be approved. You can't tell somebody, listen, I'm going to give you a free filet steak, and then at the end say, no, I changed my mind, I got to give you a hamburger, because they got their mind made up, the heart set on something better and above the call of duty of what you really can offer them. So, number one, you got to find the need when you're in the house with a person. You got to have a conversation with them. You got to be going over the stuff with them to find the need of why they sent the card in. Number two, you got to make sure you give them a company card, preferably with your picture on it. So if you don't have cards with your pictures, that's fine. Yet when you remake your cards, my recommendation is to put your picture on there because it gives you a little bit more validity who you are. When you're speaking with somebody, I want you to speak sincerely, speak from your heart, let them know this is something you enjoy doing. Because what you're doing now, you're trying to get somebody to gain trust in you to where they're going to sit and hopefully want to buy something from you. When you start doing underwriting, you've got to do underwriting where you got to dig into their health. I'm going to give you an example of that in a second. You can't sit and say, oh, you had a heart attack, you had a stroke, you're a diabetic. Each thing they tell you, you need to dig into it to find out exactly what it is. And the most important thing is you have to be listening to what they're saying, not hearing them, listening, comprehending it, processing it, making notes on a piece of paper, because the mere fact is it gives them the confidence that you are listening, you're writing notes, you're making notes, and it also kind of helps you let it penetrate upstairs. You know, because what ends up happening is that you go out, you go work, you got issues at home, you got issues here, issues at there, you played softball last night, you lost your game, your daughter lost her track meet. So what happens, as we get older, we get these things going on in our mind, and we get kind of sometimes cobweb in there. And when you get the cobwebs up there, what ends up happening, it kind of like fogs you on your thought process. And what ends up happening, you tend to deviate, you make shortcuts, and you make bad mistakes, and you mess up. Now, let me give you some examples of how agents put the cart before the horse. Agent called me, said, Joe, I'm here with Mr. Jones. And this is a true story. I told him about Roll Neighbors. He loves the free will. He just loves the discount prescription card because he's fallen into the donut hole. He thinks this is the greatest thing. I said, okay. I said, how's his health? He says, well, Joe, he's a diabetic. I said, okay. I said, well, when was he diagnosed? So he asked the guy, I said, when were you diagnosed? He says, when I was 18 years old. I said, okay. Ask him, when did he start insulin? When you start insulin, sir? I started insulin when I was 20. 20 years old. Question for Roll Neighbors is, did you start insulin prior to age 30? So now the client cannot have Roll Neighbors because he started insulin prior to age 30. So what has happened is that now the agent must tell him, well, I can't put you with that company because, and now you got to dig yourself out of a hole. So what we need to think about is that we need to ask the questions up front. If you're a diabetic, you on a pill or a shot? Forget type 1, type 2. I can't even keep track of that sometimes. Depends on when you got it. Child onset, adult onset. You on a pill or you on a shot? Great. When were you, how old were you when you were diagnosed? When did you take your first shot? These are things you got to know, because if you write Mutual of Omaha and they were diagnosed, regardless whether they took a pill or a shot prior to age 50, they're not going to get immediate benefits. Some carriers say if you started insulin before a certain age, you're not going to get immediate benefits. So you need to know about them. Heart attacks. When do you have a heart attack? What do you think caused a heart attack? What type of heart attack was it? A lot of times it's just to start a conversation with them to make them feel that you are concerned, as you are. And what you're doing, you're drawing a roadmap for yourself to where you know where to go. What medications are you on? Well, I think I'm on losartan. I said, how about doing me a favor? For me to get you the best program available, how about getting me your medication? I can look at it. Probably some of them really is not going to even matter, but let me look at them and then I can make sure that what I'm telling you is the best program for you to fit in your budget. You want to hold their medication. Bring me the medications that you're presently taking. Bring the medications you don't take anymore. If the doctor prescribed it and you filled it within the last 3 years, what medication is that? Okay? Agent called me yesterday. I was doing a phone interview. We're talking. He said, Joe, he says, I went through everything with the client. He said there was nothing wrong with him. He said he's on a cholesterol medication. Put him with the carrier, and they declined him. He says, I don't know what went wrong. What could have happened? Well, first of all, I'm not sitting there with you. Number two, there's something going on with the guy's medical history, either on MIB or on an RX. He said, well, Joe, he told me there's nothing wrong with him. He looks good. I saw him walk to the kitchen. He got me a glass of water. There's nothing wrong with the guy. He looks perfect. Why would the carrier decline him? So now the agent is blaming the carrier for declining his client because the client looks good and can walk to the kitchen and get a glass of water. You need to ask questions, guys, because now what has happened, he's already given him the prime rib. He's already given him the best of the best. Now he's got to figure out what it was. Client tells him, oh, I forgot to tell you, I've got cancer. I've got cancer. Okay. He says, yeah, I applied with somebody else and they declined me, so, you know, I thought if I didn't tell you, I can get a better plan. You need to talk to people about this here. I'm an independent agent. The insurance companies know more about you than you know about yourself. They're going to know if you've had a heart attack, or they're going to have cancer, if you had hepatitis. Draw them a picture of what you want to extract from them to where they don't sit and play games. You don't have time to play games with somebody. Go through an entire phone interview, get them declined. Now what you do, now you got a headache. You're upset with the carrier. You're upset with the client. You've done nothing wrong in your mind, but you need to draw them a picture of what's going to transpire. I need to know your medications, whether you take them or not, whether you stopped them in the last 3 years. The insurance company has a little information up in the sky where they're going to check all of your health history. They're going to check all of your prescription drugs. So the more you tell me, the better company I can put you with. Because it's no fun doing a phone interview and getting a decline. It's even worse when you leave a house with a paper app thinking you made a sale, and then you get a doggone decline, or you get an actual graded or modified when you submit to a carrier that does paper apps. So you need to sit and ask questions. Another agent calls me. When they're talking, he said, Joe, I'm here with this lovely couple. And, hold on, look at my notes. Here with this lovely couple. Everything is going real good. And he told me the only thing wrong with him is that he had a hint of COPD. I said, okay. And I put him with, I can't even carry now, and they gave him a graded, and they didn't give him an immediate benefit. So, okay. I said, describe your definition of a hint of COPD medication. Well, Joe, that's what he told me. I said, well, did you ask him his definition of a hint of medication? He goes, well, no. So I said, well, ask him. Ask him, were you prescribed medication? Did you get it filled? What type of medication was it? So he asked the question. The guy was prescribed and filled a COPD medication. So now what's happened, He's got COPD popping up on his thing. I said, now you got to put the client, Jimmy, come on in, Jimmy. I said, now you got to put the client with either America Ultra Protector 2, Liberty Bankers, or you got to put them with Transamerica Immediate Standard if you want to get immediate benefits. Oh, every one of you guys have access to the back office. Every one of you guys, ladies and gentlemen, people of all ages, you got all this stuff on the back end to where you can go in the back office and look up ailments, illnesses, issues, and it'll tell you what carrier to put your client with. But here's the secret. Here's the secret formula, the secret sauce. You need to ask questions with these people. I told you a minute ago how a guy did not want to say the truth because he got declined before. So you need to find out, have you applied before? How long ago was it? Why didn't you get it? What transpired? What carrier was it? You need to do it in a very polite and informal way to where they don't think that you're digging at them. You're just curious, okay? And by you doing this here, it's going to allow you to decide what is smart for you to go. When you put the cart before the horse, and all you're thinking about is, this is the carrier I want to go to because this is my favorite carrier, and the client says they're okay, and you don't ask nothing, what's going to happen is that you're going to get yourself all worked up and you're going to get upset. We give you guys that rate calculator. Look on the rate calculator, and what some agents are doing, they're saying, Joe, they said they didn't want to spend a lot of money, so I gave them that carrier there. They were the cheapest one, and they didn't qualify for it. The purpose of the rate calculator is to assist you and guide you if you have somebody that's got some ailments or whatever the ailments are, you know what they are, to give you a starting point of what carrier is less expensive than another carrier. That's all it's for. It's not for you to have the client tell you, I can't afford much, I'm on a budget, I want $10,000 and I cannot afford to pay a lot. That does not mean go to your rate calculator and bring up the cheapest carrier and tell the client that before you ask any health questions. You can do it. What's going to happen is that you're going to get some issued and you're going to get some that are not going to get issued. It's kind of like going to Vegas and throwing the craps, and hopefully you get a 7 or 11 on the first throw. You need to ask questions. Just because the rate calculator says this carrier at this price, that does not mean that is the carrier for the client. The less expensive the programs, usually the more look back they have. When you go with the traditional whole lives and the traditional universal lives, and you get 25,000, 50,000 worth of coverage, they're going to have different underwriting. Okay? But Joe, the client was 77 years old. He said he wanted 25,000, and the simplified issue was just way too much money. So I decided to put him with this carrier here because it was in his budget. What happened? We got declined. We want to give them what they want. Our job is to provide them with a service to make them happy, to where they buy something, we make a sale, and we live happy ever after. Yet, you got to ask the health questions. You got to know where to go. You got to know what direction to take yourself into, because what ends up happening is that now what you're doing is you're deviating from the steps you need to figure out and find out before you give somebody a quote. So what you're doing, you're skipping steps 2, 3, 4, 8, 9. You're going around the corner. You tell them, okay, this is what it's going to cost. And now you've actually given them the most perfect program. And then when they get declined, or they're not accepted, or they're issued a graded or modified, what ends up happening now is that you blown your wad. You told them, I'm going to get you 25,000 for 100, and you can't do it because the mere fact is they had a heart attack 3 years ago. Okay? They had cancer 2.5 years ago. Okay? They're diabetic on insulin. These are things you got to know before you quote prices. Okay? Right now I'm trying to think of another situation I had, because believe me, I've got hundreds of situations of when agents call me. Here's another great one here. Agent calls me and said, Joe, I've got a client who is, I can't think of, the height and weight was, we're all out of whack. And I said, what did you do? She says, well, I gave them a price on a Transamerica term. I said, how can you give a price on Transamerica term before you look at the height and weight? Well, he started stuttering. He said, Joe, he said, well, I thought it was okay. The client was 17 pounds overweight. I said, he can't have it. He's 17 pounds overweight. These carriers have height weight charts. These carriers have prescription lists. Some of them do. These carriers have underwriting where you can call up and ask these questions here. So if you're unsure about a height weight, go to the back office. Jay's got everything loaded up for you. We got the whole life, we got the term, we got everything loaded up for you. So all you got to do is click a couple fingers. You're going to see exactly Transamerica, America, Royal Neighbors, whatever carrier that you are in the mood on using, we've got all that stuff for you. That is called putting the cart before the horse. He filled out the entire application. He sends it to me to scrub it for him, because the first apps I normally scrub, especially on a wet application. I look at it, I buzz through it. I told Jay, make sure it's all right, Jay. I looked at the height weight stuff because I assumed the agent looked at it. Jay said, Joe, he looked at the height weight and the guy's 17 pounds overweight. What do I do? Hey, Mr. Agent, Joe, the client wants that program. Well, I know the client wants it, but tell the client to go on a diet and lose 20 pounds in 20 minutes, and then you can offer it to him. Can't do that, because most carriers ask you if you lost 10 pounds or more in the last year and the reason why. Do me a favor. In the back office, we'll tell you where to place the business at. It's probably about 98% accurate. We have the height weight charts that are black and white. We have everything back there for you. And you've got me and you have Jay to help you out. When you're in a home and you're unsure what you need to do, what carrier to put them with because you just started doing this here, don't feel bad. Call and say, Jay, Heather, I'm in the house with a client. May I please speak to Joe? I want to help these folks out. Get me on the phone. Draw me a picture. Make believe that you're in the house with a client. Their doctor and nurse are sitting there, and I'm sitting right next to you and we're speaking. You got to draw me a picture of this here. Try not to get excited, as we all do, as I have before. Try not to get all excited. I'll start talking about your favorite carrier, a free will, prescription drugs. Start talking about this here, because what's happening, you're putting the cart before the horse, and sometimes you got to eat your words and say, oh, I'm sorry, you can't have that. And what it does, it kind of pisses people off because you've given them the doggone, you've extended the olive branch to them, and now you're taking it back. Ask the information, gather the information. If you're unsure exactly where to put them at, call me. Here's the story here. Agent called me Wednesday. Been working with me for a while. Said, Joe, with this lovely couple, he's got this, this, and this, she's got this, this, and this. I'm just calling to make sure that I'm giving them the best program. So I asked him, I said, well, where do you think she should go? Bam. I said, you're correct. Where do you think he should go? Bam, he's correct. He said, Joe, thank you. I'm just calling just to make sure. So even if you're sure, but you're not 100% sure, call me, okay? And when you do call me and I tell you put this client with this carrier, put this client with this carrier, the first thing you're going to tell that client is, Joe thought and agreed with everything I was thinking. So make it feel that you already knew the answer, but you were calling me just to confirm it, to make sure you were getting them the best plan, because you want them to feel that you got your ducks in a row. So with that said, that's it. Company cards, if you don't have company cards, get them with your picture on them. I told you guys before, I've got that Good RX card. They'll send them to you for free. They've already sent me 200 cards, okay? Give these cards out when you're door knocking, you're canvassing. Put on there your company card. Hand them to people, because what happens, it doesn't matter whether they need it or don't need it, you're getting your name, your face, your picture, who you are when you canvass these neighborhoods. So hopefully they'll call you back. You said, think about it. GoodRx does not charge you nothing. If the person uses it, GoodRx is happy. If the person doesn't use it, but yet your card is attached to the actual little card itself that you're giving them, hopefully they'll call you back with your picture on there, your name on there. And most importantly, if you do have a office phone number, which you all do, if you have a cell phone, which you all do, I would recommend you to leave a professional message on there instead of them just calling it and it's going to a voicemail saying you've reached the voicemail of 813 with a phone number on there. You know what I'm saying? I'd put down, good morning, you've reached the office of Jack Scaglione. I'm currently away from my phone. Please be so kind to leave me a time and date of when you called. Bam, 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 and I'll get back with you as soon as possible. Tell them who you are. Tell them that you're the insurance agent. Tell them everything so they know you're a bona fide, legitimate person doing business. With that said, make it a great day. Appreciate your hard work. You got any questions, call me. And think about, do not put the cart before the horse. Bye-bye, guys.